It's going to be Legend. Wait for it. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Xerath Prevails. Folks, today I want to rank all of our legendary characters in the game, and by legendary, I mean all the epic confrontation, legendary characters, hero's journey characters, territory battle unlock characters that are not in the store, and raid unlock characters. Basically, every character besides Galactic Legends that you have to unlock in a way that is not in a store or a farm. And so I'm actually also including Cat and Maul, even though those two characters, you can kind of farm them now in the stores. I still think that they count for now, at least. Maybe I'll take them off the list at some point. And the way I'm going to be ranking them is which characters can, which characters are the most essential. Like, if I had to just cut them off of my roster, like if for some reason CG was like, look, you have too many good characters, and like out of this list of 21 characters, you need to just choose one and you just chop it off. It's gone. No, you can't use it. Now you can still, I decided not to take fleet into consideration at all. So like General Kenobi, for instance, if we take him out, he's not going to just ruin the negotiator fleet. I'm not gonna mess around with that this time, at least. But I don't know, I'd like to see what you guys think of it. This is kind of just a fun thought experiment. It doesn't mean anything. It's kind of drivel as far as content creation goes, but hopefully it'll be fun, entertaining, a thought experiment, like I said. And so, while you're thinking, I would really appreciate it, guys, if you just hit that thumbs up button or leave a comment in the comment area. It's a free way to support the channel. All it costs is a tiny, tiny bit of progress toward your own carpal tunnel, which, I mean, who doesn't want to make progress in life? We got to keep working toward things. And so, if you haven't hit that sub button yet, would really appreciate that as well. We're going to do more ranking videos, and if you want more ranking videos, you should totally hit that sub button, because that'll happen. That'll be a thing. Okay, let's get to the game, shall we? Whoa, madness. Why, we're in the game? How'd we get in the game? That's pretty rad. Madness. Okay. Oh, we shouldn't be on the bottom here because we're blocking Padme. Guys, this is C tier. This is not a good tier to be in. Shed a tear for these folks because they will soon be cut. Now, I've decided to divide them in the characters into 4 different tiers. So S tier being the best, A tier being the second best, B tier being the third best, and C tier sucking really bad. No, none of these characters are bad. Actually, every single one of these characters has some really good things. Like, as you might imagine, they're all unlocked characters. However, if you think of it in terms of characters that you need to be able to be expendable to have the rest of your roster function, then it becomes a lot easier. So first off, let's talk about Padme, because she is far from worthless, but in the context of General Kenobi these days, it leaves a lot to be desired. Like, she's just a lot of times, especially in 5v5, just kind of left on the sideline. 3v3, she is usable, but I mean, there's a lot of times that you don't need her at all. Like in territory battles, you don't need her. You don't need her for a lot of things. Granted, she's an unlocked character, but we're kind of ignoring that as well. And she's just one of those characters that is like, well, I don't know, like, what do you use her for? In 5v5, like, you can put her on a team on defense, I guess, but you're using, like, Clone Sergeant and Cody. It's not that great. She's still a good character, but with Kenobi here, she's not that great. Now, granted, if you don't have Jedi Master Kenobi, she probably goes up on this list, but I'm taking this into account for, I guess, my big roster, because I didn't really think about the small rosters, because I suck. And so, for this list at least, maybe one day we'll do a ranking list as it pertains to, like, Division 7 or something like that. Like, how good would she be, without Galactic Legends or something? I don't know. We can do all sorts of things, guys. We're going to rank the heck out of things because we don't have GAC coming up. So, all right. Let's look at the rest of them. This is the only tier with 6 because I didn't want to put 6 in the top tier. I wanted it to be more exclusive. So, In no particular order, here are the rest. So Beskar Mando, love him. Obviously, he's a pilot, but we're ignoring that again. He does a lot of cool stuff, but he is only so he's a versatile character on a lot of teams. But for the most part, he can go on like a Maul team, but the Maul team's already good without him. He can go on a Ray team, but the Ray team's already good without him. He can have his own team, which is really great, but overall, like, he is a character that you can just, like, if you just chopped him off of the roster, it doesn't really matter that much. You have to put a lot of gear and, good mods and all sorts of good things for him, and you, frankly, just, he can be cut. I mean, it makes me sad. He is really good. Like, all these characters are all really good, but he's an individual character, is essentially. Like, he's not an essential part of any team. Like, he runs a team, but so do all of these characters for the most part, and he's not an essential part of any, like, counter that you absolutely need. You don't need him to counter things. It's nice when he does. His team is cool, but he's not absolutely needed. BB-8 is a character that you can absolutely get rid of if you don't have Jedi training Rey, or if Rey is with a different team. BB-8's nice with, like, General Grievous, but Grievous is hard. He's far from being just, he can still be destroyed. Grievous can just still get worked completely here, and I don't know, like Night Sisters beat a BB-8 version. It's funny, like, rotating him, you can barely tell that you're rotating him at all. Take that, Cubs. No spinning. Or actually, you can still. But anyways, he's good, but, like, if he's not on a Jedi training Rey team specifically, he's not great. So, I mean, he's fine. He's good. He does his work. All these characters do, but you don't need him that bad. No team is like, oh man, without BB-8, I mean, except for Jedi training Rey, which is not a top tier team, frankly. We have Ki-Adi-Mundi next, and I love him, but he is a luxury. He does so much crazy damage. He's part of my arena climb now. He is part of a lot of different Jedi team. He is a great plug-and-play character, does an immense amount of damage, and yet, if you don't have him, I have friends who still don't have him because they are loyal to guilds that suck, and no offense to guilds that suck, but I mean, really, like, he's a great character, but he is not a character that you absolutely need. My friends that I'm referencing all are really good players. Like, I have one buddy who went undefeated last season. My buddy Hens, you hear me talk about him. He's not even close. He's a 5-star Ki-Adi-Mundi. He doesn't need Ki-Adi-Mundi to be dominant. He's nice. He's a great character, and it's really tough to imagine life without him at this point, but you don't need him. You can replace him with other lesser Jedi. R2-D2 is another character. He is less important even than BB-8 because you can replace him on a Jedi training Rey team with another droid. Now, he's better than other droids because he's resistance. He does a lot of cool stuff with other teams. You can use him on a Padme team even. Like, he's good, but at the same time, like, no essential team is like, oh man, need me some R2-D2. Like, the Death Star needs R2-D2 to plug into its socket, but that's like a personal level need, It's like a desire more than anything, but it's kind of awkward to talk about R2-D2 and his intimate life, but, that's about all the good he's doing for us at this point, except on a Jedi training Rey team. We could go on Padme, like I said. He does cool stat sharing, like, you can do some weird stuff with him and Chupio, but otherwise, He's good. He's not essential anymore. General Kenobi is one that's probably going to be a little more controversial. He is a pretty good character for the Kenobi team, but here's the thing, guys. On offense, at the very least, he just gets chopped to bits by Cat. Like, Cat just... The thing is, there's no counter that's like, oh man, General Kenobi, what will I do? Every counter to the Kenobi team, to the Jedi Master Kenobi team, takes him into account and destroys him. And so he's nice on offense, but a lot of times you don't even care about him on offense. You just put Mace in there so he gets chopped to pieces by Cat anyways, and then Kenobi can go somewhere else. And so I don't, if we're not counting the fact that he's a pilot, he doesn't, like, he's plug and play. Like, he used to be the running joke that he used to be, like, the one character that every new marquee character had on the little box of recommended synergies, because he is just good with everyone. But right now, General Carbanti is just kind of without a home in a way, in a very strange way. He's great, but it's not so essential as all that. So he's a C-level toon, and I'm sticking by it. So let's talk now about B tier. Who makes the B tier? Pause and think. Who is awful enough to make B tier? The answer is Maul. It might surprise you, but here's the thing, guys. You don't need him for your Lord Vader team, and you need him for as a Mandalorian team that suddenly doesn't have Beskar because we already chopped him off. But no, it doesn't matter. Which, we already chopped his legs off too. Maul is used to having things chopped off, I guess. But here's I don't. We're not counting like Beskar as like being out for consideration for him. The thing is, Maul is good. He has a good team. He's going to be able to counter some GLs, I believe, in 5v5 at least. But at the end of the day, Lord Vader does not need him. And his Mandalorian team is cool, but they were actually doing a lot of stuff before he came around. They're not as much stuff, but he is not absolutely essential, and you need to have good mods on him. He's a guy he's a C tier team. Or B, I guess, whatever. Grandmaster Yoda is another character. Pretty good. Remember, I keep saying this, but I want to reiterate. Great character, he really is. And he can do a lot of cool stuff, but at the end of the day, a lot of the main Jedi teams are just kind of excluding him. It's like, okay, you want to use Jedi Master Luke to counter the meta, like Kenobi and Lord Vader? We don't want Grandmaster Yoda there. We don't want Grandmaster Yoda with Kenobi at all, because he's going to cause too many buffs, and it makes General Skywalker's job so easy to counter that team. Grandmaster Yoda is not part of any Galactic Legend counter team either. He does not perform an essential function. Like, he is just one of those characters that's like, yeah, he's really cool. I don't even mind that they made us Relic 8 him. And yet, what else does he do? Like, what exactly, what would you say you do here, Grandmaster Yoda? Like, he's a good plug-and-play Jedi character. That's about all you can say. Like, I almost replaced him with Ki-Adi-Mundi at this point. Like, because whereas he provides some good utility, he does some good damage, he can take a million turns, and he's good in other game modes, like territory battles and stuff. In GAC, like, a lot of times, there's been a few times I'm like, I guess I won't use him, or I guess I'll just use him as a lead with, like, really bad Jedi to maybe, like, win something. I don't know. Grand Admiral Thrawn used to be really, really good. He used to be the guy who you could just go and fracture any Galactic Legend, and now he can't do that. He can fracture them, but it has a diminished effect, and he can still do that to other characters, but what other characters do you really, really need to fracture? Some characters, I realize you do want to do that, and sometimes you want to get other characters' turns before they have to go, but there are other, like, Gideon can absolutely do that for you anyways, and Gideon is farmable. Like, so I love Grand Admiral Thrawn. He's got a ship, but ships don't matter in this. Like, he's good. He's got a lot of utility. I love his leadership for a lot of different teams, but he's not a character that's central to my designs anymore. C-3PO is another character, guys. If there's one character that's going to have to go away from a Commander Luke team, if we get some other really good Rebel character, it's going to be C-3PO, because that's what we always replace him with. Like, if you look at Conquest, they're always like, hey, get wins with all attackers, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll take 3PO out, and then you don't even notice that he's gone, because you just throw in some other, like, you throw in like Boba or some weird crap. But he's good, man. He is so good. He adds a lot of utility. He can go with a ton of teams. He can even make Ewoks like almost decent. He can do a lot of stuff. He's good on a Padme team. Like, we're just tossing all of the Padme stuff aside, guys. But he's also an annoying guy. Like, he just whines about everything. I really don't like him as a person. Well, because he's a droid, but I don't like his programming. Like, the maker should have done a better job. By the way, when did Anakin get Sith coding to be able to, like, just put like a little node in his brain, like, here's how to read Sith things, and by the way, you can't read them out loud. Like, when did Anakin the Slave do that? I would like to know. Episode 9 begs the question. Traya is another great character who you don't really like. Right now, she used to be really cool with like with a Vader team. She's still really good, but her team doesn't get good banners in GAC. She's a role player at this point. She goes really well with like Sith Eternal in a territory battle mission, or she used to go really well with Darth Vader against Rey. Now she just goes and gets terrible banners against a lot of teams and is just generally kind of just an annoying bee. She only has one hand. Like, feel like her value is declining daily. Like, if she lost her other hand, do you think she'd even notice? Do you think we would even care? I mean, I probably wouldn't. And that's it for this tier of squads. Let's go to A tier, folks. These guys are getting good. Now, Commander Luke is a character who, his team is transcendent in a lot of ways. It counters a lot of different galactic legends. Well, it can at least, the different builds of them, I should say. And it can take out almost every other team. It's really good. The only issue with Commander Luke that makes him not a transcendent, amazing S-tier character is the fact that he relies on so many other really good characters. He is not good in his own right. He is a great leader, and if you put a lot of rebels with him, regardless of what the rebels are, that team is going to be decent, but he relies on having Han and Chewie and 3PO, and as I'm talking, I've realized that I just left Chewie off this list entirely, so this list is totally invalid. We're just going to add Chewie as an honorary member of this tier, because we also have Han here. But we're going to go with Malak for a sec, guys. He is a really great tank. You can't use Watt with him to give him a tank tech. You can give him the tank tech, but it doesn't do anything except for help him get rid of his debuffs. Otherwise, he can't be forced to taunt. He does a lot of cool stuff. Obviously, he can solo teams. He makes the Darth Revan team really good. He does a ton of really cool stuff. All the fear, all the life drain, everything. Like, he's great, but he's not up to the very top because not everyone can be a top character. He is really good, but he's with a Darth Revan team that is kind of slowly losing stock. Darth Revan, speaking of the man himself, there keeps being new counters for Darth Revan. He's the guy who's on a slippery slope right now. It's like, hey, look, he's good again because Darth Vader's here. But now we have Kyle Katarn, and Kyle Katarn's in command now. He's in control. He's in command now, Revan. And I think Darth Revan, I don't know, like, what's his role now in the game? Is he a stalwart defender still? Can he beat a really good Mon Mothma team? I'm not sure. He can't really beat anything. Like, on offense, he's not efficient against really good teams, and against really bad teams, he's overkill. So, he's a good character. His team is really good, but he's kind of in a weird place right now, and he is sliding. Han Solo, we're going to call this Han Solo and Chewbacca because I didn't add Chewie to the list for some awesome reason. Should be 22 characters, but this is a good match though. Han and Chewie together. They go really well together. The only problem is they take up 2 character slots, and usually they need Commander Luke to make them good. If they have Commander Luke, they need 2PO and 3PO, and then it's a whole team full of heroes. And it's like, well, if you cut one of them off, then the rest of them go. So I think that the Commander Luke team is a little bit better than most of the other A-list characters, but I mean, or, you know, than the rest of the legendaries. But I think that for the most part, I don't know, the only other thing I think that recommends Han Solo here, and is not just a member of the CLS team, is he can go on other teams and guarantee that you stun one character before anything else happens. So he can go in, and it's like, okay, we don't want Shock T to get a turn, because then she's going to call Jedi Luke to assist, and then Jedi Luke is going to freeze everyone, stun everyone, and then life will end as we know it, and we don't want that. So Han Solo goes in, he can stun them, and then you get first turn. He is great for that. Adds a lot of utility to a lot of teams. Very plug and play, actually. He can even do a Han Solo solo if you have him fast, etc. He's a good character in his own right. Chewie is also a very good character in his own right because he can put guard on one character. You can manipulate who gets that guard, and that guard is really important. You can do a lot of cool stuff. If you ever put guard on Yoda on a Jedi Revan team and watched Yoda and Grandmaster Yoda and Chewie just go nuts, it is really cool, actually. Jedi Training Rey should probably not be on this list up this high up, but she does have a lot of utility. She has a lot of things that are really good these days. Like she can make it so that turn meter goes away. She gives irresistible and undispellable healing immunity. She can call an assist if it's resistance. She can run a good resistance team. She can go with Rey, which is also obviously a galactic legend and a really good team. She can do a lot of stuff. She's got foresight. She can be a tank. Watt can assign the tank tech on her, and she can do a lot of stuff. Like, she is just a very powerful single character, and she runs a really strong team. She's a very integral part of a lot of teams. She could just be a good plug and play character. I've used to see a lot of teams with her with Commander Luke. That's obviously faded away quite a bit now, but she's just very versatile, does a lot of cool stuff, and I don't know, I really like her. She's actually a little bit attractive too, so there's that. Not in game. Her face is a little bit bland, and other characters, versions of her have a 5 head, so you have that. Now we're gonna talk about S tier here, guys, and S tier ones. I'm curious to see what you guys think. Do you agree? Which ones are missing? I want to know. S tier. First off, I think the most obvious one, guys, General Skywalker. He runs one of the very best teams out there. He is one of the best plug-and-play Jedi if you need him to. He is just really good. He counters. He's one of the very few characters who runs a team that team isn't full of super friends, but they still beat Rey. They still also give Jedi Master Luke a run for his money. They can do a lot of really cool stuff. And, I mean, they counter all the other teams below a galactic legend. He is just a crazy beast, and he stands up faster now. I actually like this version of him more. Make him more resilient. He does less damage, but it just makes his team more functional. I really like the change that they made to him. The other changes that were made at the same time as him were actually not good at all, in my opinion. But this is one of them that did actually buff the character, and I really like him. He's probably the best out of all of the entire list, in my opinion. The rest of the S tier are kind of like a wash. I think that they're all pretty good, but I think that he is his own tier. He's like a double S tier, whatever that means. The S in S tier stands for Skywalker. Let's just say that. Jedi Revan is another character, guys. He came out before Darth Revan. Darth Revan's starting to slide now. Jedi Revan, his stock just keeps increasing, and it is almost entirely because of his mark, his direct focus move that makes it so that he can target one character. It increases their cooldown. Your entire team, regardless of what characters are on it, can then attack that character because they're marked and that can't be dispelled. And not to mention, he can cycle through his turns really fast if you're smart about his master strategist thing. He has his savior move, which can be negated if it's on defense and he's not in the leader slot, but he's also very good in the leader slot. He is honestly like one of the best plug and play characters in the game. He's part of a lot of Galactic Legend teams that are amazing at countering other Galactic Legend teams. He just does a ton of work. It's really fun to see him do his thing. He's the leader of a team that does not have a Galactic Legend that counters Supreme Leader Kylo, and he's I can't imagine he will ever be irrelevant in this game. His mark and his savior moves are amazing. Just love him, man. He is really good. I can't believe he's still this versatile. I would have always thought that Darth Revan would be the better of the two. I think Jedi Revan is actually, he's the best Jedi out there, almost. In a lot of ways. He's the best Jedi facilitator, almost certainly. Except for maybe some of the GLs, because they're crazy. Now, Kat, like I said, she's farmable with crystals now, kind of. So, it takes a while, it costs a lot, but you can. So she probably shouldn't be on this list, but I think she's just so. I wanted to kind of illustrate the difference, in my opinion, between her and Maul. Now, Maul is not a bad character. He runs a very good team. He does a lot of stuff, but Kat just makes one of her teams transcendent. The fact that she can add so much health and offense to a team is just insane, and the synergies she has with two of the Galactic Legends, with Kenobi and with Rey, are just crazy. If you don't have Kenobi or Rey, she still goes on a Padme team and makes that team indestructible, and she'll slowly just kill your whole team. She'll go on a Bam team and make him, with his 20 whistling birds, just go completely nuts and kill the whole town, and it's just really cool. So she's great. She has a one-shot kill at the very start of her, one of her first moves, and I don't know. She is just really good. I'd choose to cut most of these other characters before I'd choose to cut her, just because she is such a good facilitator. Jedi Knight Luke. He is really good. He's the guy that can actually kill Supreme Leader Kylo, whereas Jedi Revan facilitates that. He's the guy who actually does the damage. He did get nerfed. His repulse is cool because it does damage against a lot of different characters. Well, not against 6 different characters against the Galactic Legends, but I mean that is pretty relevant because he is kind of the guy who helps you kill Galactic Legends. He goes on all the different Jedi teams, even Kenobi teams. Sometimes I've seen, just because his huge irresistible stun is so good. He does a lot of damage. He does more damage against tanks now, which makes his stock go up against like Lord Vader teams, etc. He is really good. Even with that nerf, he also facilitates a lot of damage because he gives his stalwart advance move, whatever the buff is that's from that, does a lot of damage. It helps the characters do a lot of damage, but it also helps them hit back, and that gives them more damage. It's a cool character. He's not as good as he used to be. He's diminished. Seems like this hand is like bigger than it should be, but I mean, I guess that is his one real hand, so maybe I'm just crazy. He's a farm boy. He has big hands. You know what that means. That we're going to talk about Wat. That's right. Wat Tambor is one of the best characters in the game still. He got nerfed, and there's probably a good reason why. Like, there's not just a stick that bestows the ability to ignore defense. He is really cool in that term. He was really cool in that terms. He's still like, okay, you can guarantee a taunt, like a pre-taunt on any character. He can guarantee that a character can always shrug off all of their various debuffs. He can guarantee that they're healing. He is just one of the best facilitators. And in terms of characters that I want to be on my team, like, he is always going to be used in 5v5 and 3v3. There is never a time that I'm like, oh man, I didn't even use Wat. I think one time that happened because a guy just gave me a bunch of really easy teams, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. I was like, whoa, we're in the game. I mean, we're not using Wat. It's a crazy thing, guys. He doesn't need a nose to be good. He is still good. Newt has already paved the way in terms of that. See, he's laughing. He thought I was funny, but he's really good. He's still really good. He's the guy who you can customize your team. That's what's so cool about it. He can make your team versatile. Like, he's like, oh, you know what this team needs? We need some extra healing. We need a taunt. We need to be able to get extra turn meter. Like, you can customize your team. Like, it's build a team. It's whatever team you want. He's the guy who makes it happen. So I really like Wat. He's the one who makes your roster super versatile. Really cool stuff. So what ways would you guys agree with me? What ways do you guys disagree with me? Maybe I should rearrange these tiers. I don't know, but one way or another, I do think I stand by most of these guys. I could be swayed on some of them for sure. Should Cat be in here? Should Maul be way higher up? I would love to hear your thoughts, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails. Oh yeah, leave a like, please. Just do it. Do it.